Welcome back to the Pretty Playbook. I know it's been a while since we did an interview, but babes, we are back and I'm super excited because I have some great interviews coming up for y'all to enjoy. And this one that I'm doing today is very special to me because this is my first independent event that I'm going to be covering, and I'm super excited to talk with the executive and the media personnel with it to really dive into what the event is, why it's significant, and why they started it. I like to ask all those questions, and I'm going to get some really good answers. Of course, I always had to do a pre-introduction for myself. If you don't know, welcome back to the Pretty Playbook. If you are new here, we are happy to have you and welcome. I just want to say thank you to our sponsor, Mrs. Barnes Hair Care Products. She always keeps me looking slayed in every single way when I am wearing my different hairstyles and everything. So shout out to my sponsor. If you want to be a sponsor for the show, or if you know somebody who would be a great sponsor for the show, send them my way. You can always email me at media@pglovesports.org. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this interview. So, without further ado, everyone, I do want to bring in my very special guest for this interview today because I know y'all want to get to it. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself and then we're going to get into questions from there. Let's hear it, sir.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. First off, thank you so much for having us on your platform tonight. I hope your audience is doing extremely well. My name is Andrew Snorton. I'm based in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I am here on behalf of the Alphas of Atlanta, which is a 501c3, and we're inviting you and other amazing people to join us in the Winner's Circle the first weekend of May 2nd through 5th, for the annual Alpha Derby Weekend Kentucky Derby themed event.
So now you guys see part of the crew. Now you guys see why this was a special interview for me. As you know, I'm a part of Alpha Cap Alpha, so already incorporated. So it just makes so much sense. So we know that the Alpha Derby is going to happen. I want to know a little bit more about this event. People who may have never heard of the Alpha Derby, it's like the Kentucky Derby, but I'm going to allow you to give a little bit more detail about that.
Sure. What I'll do is give, a little bit of a point of reference of this is where we started, this is where we are. So the Alphas of Atlanta is a 501c3 nonprofit made up of members of the graduate chapters who serve the Metro Atlanta area. And really in 2014, a lot of the conversation centered on what can we do that would be a great signature event, not just for members of the fraternity, but for our D9, general community, things along those lines. And a lot of us have heard the term party with the purpose. We wanted to see what we could do to elevate the experience. So with the great leadership team through our co-chairs, Michael Jones, Robert Cunningham, the fact that a number of our committee members are former graduate chapter presidents, myself included, what we did is we came up with the concept of the Alpha Derby Weekend, which is a Kentucky Derby themed event. So bringing elements of that experience in Louisville/Churchill Downs to Atlanta. So in 2015 was the first year of our event. We did it as a 2-day event, and we were originally thinking our Friday night kickoff party ended up being a meetup at the rooftop bar of the host hotel that we had at the time. And we were expecting maybe 75 people, maybe 100 people. We had like 300 people show up. And then for our main event that very first year, which was the indoor-outdoor setup, the watch party at the City Club of Buckhead, we ended up having like 900 people. So for a first year event, having 1,200, yeah, exactly, just what you said. So 2016 kept it as a 2-day event. The attendance increased from about 1,200 to about, let's say, 1,600. 2017, we added a third day, which was our Sunday brunch, because a number of our guests from out of town are like, we want to do something before we hit the road. So for the 2017 year, we had like 400 people for first time brunch on top of having more people in 2017. 2018 is when we really took that next step up and strengthened our kickoff party and concert. So in 2018, we had classic hip hop artist Dougie Fresh as our headliner, and that put our attendance up to about 3,800. We kept our attendance close to that level. 2020, obviously things were different with the pandemic. And 2021, it was still pandemic-ish, for lack of a better term. So we just did a golf tournament only. Now, normally for a golf tournament, you usually want to take about 6 months to plan, but we were extremely blessed to where it only took us like maybe 2, 3 months to plan. And when we opened up the playing slots, we sold out all of our playing slots within 9 days. This was back in 2021. So now with 2022, kind of quote went back to normal. So 2022, we had classic hip hop artist Slick Rick as our headliner. We had the golf tournament, the main watch party, the Sunday brunch. Last year was our largest ever of about 4,000. So we had our golf tournament. Our Friday night kickoff last year was the ode to like the late 90s, early 2000s Atlanta. So last year we had like Little Scrappy, Young Dro, Fabo, and just bringing back that kind of, just that kind of feel. So we've really been to evolve, but the blessing has been the support that we've gotten. 1 out of 3 people who come to our event come from outside the state of Georgia. So whether it's South Carolina, the QC right up the road in Charlotte, the DMV, so DC, Maryland, Virginia, the tri-state where I grew up, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Chicago, Detroit, Nashville, Birmingham, Orlando. We've been so blessed that 1 out of 3 guests come from outside the state of Georgia. So when you have that type of energy, that type of leadership, and the proceeds raised go back to our nonprofit, which in turn gets distributed in the form of many grants to different community organizations throughout Metro Atlanta. It really is a party with a purpose, and putting things back into male mentoring, co-ed leadership development, college tours, scholarship programs, things along those lines. So that's kind of where we started and where we are. And we are so excited, like I said, the first weekend of May, May 2nd through 5th, to having another great event and another great lineup. And we're glad that you're going to be on board as one of our correspondents. So, yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. As I was saying in my little prelude here, this is actually like my first independent event. So normally I'm doing sports and everything, but for my first event, as I said, I wanted to evolve and really branch out because I love all things, entertainment, sports, all that. So being able to do the event um under my brand as myself and not having my network be like, we can't do that, or we can't send you there, or and actually, I mean, it's not saying they wouldn't, but for me to be able to do it myself, I'm really blessed, and I'm honored to be able to sit here and do this. Even just to have this interview right now means something to me. So thank you. You're thanking me. I'm thanking you. Thank you.
Oh, look, we're just, no, but seriously, like, good people recognize good people, and getting a chance to work alongside of you on the sports end, you do a solid job. And like I said to your audience, please continue to support the work that you're doing. You're doing amazing work. And like all of us, we're still scratching the surface. So the greatest work that we've done hasn't happened yet. And that's not to, downgrade what we've done, but what we're doing is preparing us for what's next. So look, just like you're excited to be down here with us in a couple of weeks, we're excited to have you be a part. And of course, bring a couple people along too.
If that's the case, because the episode is going out, is if you're listening to this past May, the first weekend in May, then gear up for next year. But if you happen to get a hold of this, tell them where they can get their tickets. I know the golf is sold out. I was going to tell you, talk about how the golf sold out. But golf is sold out. We know that. You have the other events. I know Bobby Valentino is doing it. You didn't say that. That's my jam there. So Bobby Valentino. So let them know where they can actually get the tickets. So that way, if they're getting this ahead of time, they know where to go.
Yeah, definitely. I'll go over where people can get their tickets, all that type of stuff, and our whole lineup for 2024. So the easiest way to find out is our website of alphaderbyweekend.com. Again, alphaderbyweekend.com. When you go on the website, if you go to the gallery, it will provide the photos from last year's event as well as video recaps. So it gives you a feel for the attire, the energy, all that, and then some. Another thing is, especially for people from out of town, we do still have a few rooms left at our host hotel, which is the Omni Atlanta. And if people are flying in, we actually have a discount code on Delta to help you save a few coins. The rundown before I go through the rundown of the weekend, other ways to stay connected on social media: Alphas of Atlanta on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as Alpha_Derby on Instagram and Twitter. So if you go on the social media, you'll get the breaking updates, but all the primary info is going to be on our website of alphaderbyweekend.com. And so our entire lineup consists of a smaller private opening on May 2nd, but the events are open to the public May 3rd. As you already noted, the golf tournament is already sold out. We are grateful to the men and women. Like I said before, men and women, because probably about 40%, 30 to 40% of our golfers are women. So we want to emphasize that. Ladies, get your golf game going. So that's already sold out. That's already sold out for Friday at Chapel Hills Golf Course in Douglasville. Friday night, May 3rd, is our kickoff party and concert. That will be at the Omni Atlanta Hotel. Frank Ski, who's legendary DJ in this area, will get us started with his Northern Exposure set. So if you have not been a part of that, you definitely want to. As you noted, sticking with the late 90s, early 2000s R&B theme, we've got Bobby Valentino performing. And I tell you what, he is deceptively versatile in regards to his work. So you definitely want to catch that. And then we'll have another DJ coming on after that to close everything out. Saturday, May 4th. That is the day you want to be dressed to the nines. That will be our main event at the Delta Flight Museum. Indoor, outdoor, we'll have the cigar section. We'll have a couple other special things going on. You'll be able to watch the race, all that type of thing. So ladies, break out the fascinators, the springtime dresses, the springtime flair as only you can bring it. Fellas, I'm going to get my hair cut a couple days beforehand. You just want to be razor sharp. That's all I'm going to tell you. And be prepared to meet, greet, and network across the board. Seriously. I mean, we want people to have fun. And we want people, whether, Divine Nine ties, HBCU ties, whatever, come with a good, spirit and come looking to meet, greet, network, and have fun. And then Sunday, May the 5th, before you celebrate Cinco de Mayo, we're going to have a Cinco de brunch at our.
Love that. Cinco de brunch. You got to eat before you drink. Please.
Well, anyone in older audience, we will have the bottomless mimosas flowing and going, as well as some food, live entertainment, things along those lines. And I'd be remiss if we didn't mention some of our sponsors. We have Woodford Reserve, who is the actual official brand of the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. We're one of the handful of non-Churchill Downs events that we do, so we're grateful to them. We have Anheuser-Busch on board. We have Volkswagen on board. We have Hideaki, which is a men's private clothing line that's on board. We've got a number of other entities. And for those of you out there that either have a business, if you have, quote, an event and you want to do a save the date card, we have our branding packages, which honestly start at $250. So even if you're a smaller business, that 250 branding package includes 2 general admission tickets for Friday and Saturday. If you have palm cards, things along those lines, get them to us by the deadline, and we will have those in the gift bags that go to those who are attending on Saturday, as well as those who are checking into the host hotel. And of course, you'll be on some of the scrolling displays and things along those lines. And we were very intentional because a lot of times events like this, people are like, oh, I can't do that. I can't afford that. And we were trying to make it as accessible as possible because, there's great people out there that want to come out for a great time.
I love that, especially the branding package, because now my brain is like, well, let me get a branding package. It makes a lot of sense, not only to just, again, celebrate people in general, but the networking is really important, especially if you show up and you're ready and prepared. You can get out and network because you now have so many people. Even when you only have 300 to 400 people, you still have a lot of space to network and meet some great people. But now it's even bigger. And this may be the best one yet. I know if you're part of things I say every time, like, this is the best thing yet, the best one ever. Because as you do it over and over, it gets better and better with time. As you said, our best work is still ahead of us. I want to ask though, what made you guys choose Derby? You touched on it a little bit, but I would love to know more, like why of all things the Derby. When I think of Derby, obviously I think of the Kentucky Derby, and people know what the Kentucky Derby is, but many people I think cannot afford to go now that it's more. It's like the Super Bowl now, Super Bowl of horse racing. So I just want to know how that came into fruition.
And that's a great question. Part of it is just in history where a lot of people don't realize the early runnings of the Kentucky Derby, most of those jockeys were African American. So you have a historical presence right there. So being able to amplify that story, it's like, people see it as a mainstream event, which, yeah, it is now, but it wasn't always that way. The second thing is looking at the landscape of Atlanta. And when it comes to signature events, we wanted to do something that other people weren't doing. And we wanted to make sure we did something that was a little bit unique, special, accessible. And you can still come out to a nice, elegant, fun event. We have fun. Don't get me wrong. We take care of business. We have fun too. But a good setting where you're coming and you know why you're coming. You're coming number one thing is the proceeds are going back into our communities. So that's the number one thing. And when you know where it's going and you see where it's going, you can't help but get excited, energized. Like I said earlier, for some people, it's almost like a mini reunion when 1 out of 3 people are coming from outside the state of Georgia. In fact, I've had relatives who live in the state of Kentucky who have bypassed going to Louisville to come to our event. Now, that says a whole lot. Louisville's a closer drive to them than Atlanta, but they've come down here. It just brings, like I said, it just brings a different energy. So bringing it all back, again, we were trying to identify what would be a great signature event, not only for all of us who are members of, the respective grad chapters, but just doing something that other people weren't doing. And each year, what can we do to build, grow, make it better, cast a wider net, for lack of a better term? And part of it is getting a chance to talk with great people and great outlets like yourself. So, why not? Like, real talk,
Yeah.
why not?
I love the fact that you said that in the beginning, a lot of the jockeys were African American. I do not think a lot of people actually know that history or fact. For me, I definitely just was enlightened with that, but it makes sense as well. I've always wanted to go to the Kentucky Derby. Outside of being a sports person, I'm also a fashion person. So I really love to see different looks and fashions. So to me, I was always like, oh, Kentucky. And I always knew they had bourbon. So I'm like, we can go and get a good bourbon too. But when I look at the events nowadays, I'm like, okay, well, I don't even think I can afford to be in the room because, last year I seen lots of pictures where like half the Kansas City Chiefs team were there and a lot of different celebrities and higher, I say higher price, higher valued people are going to these events. But no, I also feel like no one puts it on like Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta has such a open landscape to where you can have an event that is so different. But as you just said, 1 in 3 people are coming from out of town. So now you've created a space that is just going to continue to grow and get bigger. For this year, and I'm going to ask you for future, but for this year, you already know kind of the numbers. So you kind of got to just play into it a little bit. How big do you think that it'll actually be for this year?
That's a great question. I honestly think we will be in the range of where we were in about 2018, which was about 3,700 people. I really honestly believe that. And I think, what kind of happens is we usually release the info January 1st. So that way it gives people a 4-month window to kind of map, plan out, budget, things along those lines. So there's some folks that already have their coins ready. Like when we cut this first at like 12 o'clock, 12:01 is like the first ticket purchase, literally. So we usually have a good number. January, February kind of gets calmer. And then as it gets closer, it really ramps up. And especially like historically, when we've been able to announce who the artists are, like I said, in previous years, we've had Dougie Fresh, Big Daddy Kane, Chub Rock, Slick Rick. One year we had FLI, you know, Yeah, we had Fly performs, the folks who actually did Swag Earth, they historically have performed that at our event. We've had Crime Mob. We've had a little bit of everybody. Trey Daniels, the saxophone artist, if you have not heard him, amazing. So we've been blessed to have like a solid range of artists, across the board. So a lot of times now is like prime time. So as the elders would say, we're picking them up and laying them down. Like seriously, we really are. We're picking them up and laying them down. But we know the why behind it, and I would be remiss if I didn't restate that. We know the why behind what we're doing, so we work hard. We work smart. All of us know why we're doing this and why we're here. And of course, the amazing support we've gotten historically, present day, future, whether people can only come out for one day, if they do the entire weekend. Like I said earlier, branding packages, whether you're our title sponsor putting in like 5 digits, or a smaller sponsor that's only is able to do 250 or whatever. Every bit counts, every bit matters. It helps us do what we're setting out to do, to leave as big of a positive footprint as we can and have fun while we're doing it.
Of course, fun is always in the mix. You said earlier that you guys started with 1 to 2 events. What was the inspiration behind adding the extra events that you have now? I understand why you added Sunday, makes perfect sense. But what was the vision behind adding the other events?
Yeah, another great question. Like we said earlier, it was originally a 2-day event, and honestly, with adding the Sunday brunch, that was feedback from people who were attending, especially those that were attending from out of town. If they're like, "Hey, my flight doesn't leave until 3, I need to do something before I head out." And then, of course, people that live here, or maybe, their drives might be a little bit shorter. It's like before you head out, another bonding opportunity. So that's really how the Sunday brunch evolved. And then in regards to the golf tournament piece, like I said before, 2020 and 2021, when you were very limited regarding what you could do,
Mhm.
we know just that, okay, outdoors with spacing, you can kind of work with it. And excuse me, some people would argue, well, people were at home, they were trying to get out, which is probably partially true.
Yeah.
But to sell, like I said before, I've been a part of golf tournaments before. I have never been a part of a golf tournament when the time you say that playing slots are available, within 9 days. This was back in 2021. Within 9 days, you sell out. I've never seen that before. And even fast forwarding to this year, we sold out all of our golf slots about 3 weeks ago. So it's a testament to our subcommittee who handles that. It's a testament to people, like you, that are acknowledging, recognize, and be like, these folks are really making an honest effort to put things together. And of course, like I said, we have at least 35% of the people that play are women. That's awesome. We need more women to play, like across the board. Across the board.
Yeah,
Golf
I
to
agree.
whatever. Your presence is respected and needed. So yeah, we're just excited. And the bottom line is, if we can do it right or get it as close to right as possible, we're going to do it. And that's just how we move, and that's how we operate.
I love that, especially me highlighting women in sports. I love being able to hear that you have 30 to 40% being women. That's exciting for me. And it's like, wow, like I love to see women get involved in sports. And then for you to just highlight that is just something that's really amazing. And I totally agree. We need more women in all of the spaces and all of the sports and all of the things, which is, of course, why you started the platform in the first place, to be able to highlight some of those women that are in these spaces to bring some more light to them. You touched on a bit of how you guys give back to the community. If you could just expand on that just a little bit more, or even just say, how you've helped the community, or is there any plans for this year to help anybody specifically for the community?
Yeah, another good question. So, in our early years, we have provided smaller grants to nonprofits that are tied to our participating graduate chapters, but we just don't want to stop there. Our goal is, as we continue to not only bring in revenues, but do our level of grant writing, we can expand that mini grant to other nonprofits. And as you're aware, there's a bunch of 501c3s that are doing tremendous work. And we want to make sure that we are able to, again, provide a bigger footprint and help support more, just to be totally transparent. So when you look at, like, on our website, and it has a listing of the different nonprofits that we supported, then you go on those nonprofit sites and you see there's, etiquette classes or interviewing, public speaking. Sometimes it's ACT and SAT prep, college tours, scholarship programs, financial wellness, these types of things that we know are things that the community can build upon, rally around, things along those lines. These are the types of things that we're able to support. And again, with us being a 501c3, that makes it, a lot more straightforward to be able for people to come to us. That way, based on what we have, we are putting it right back, where, we're able to place it, and we want to be able to build on that. Yes, ma'am.
I really enjoy hearing the SAT prep college tour. When I was in high school, I went on college tour 2 years in a row, and I was very lucky. And I got to see universities that I was not that I probably wouldn't be, but excuse me, that I probably would not have been able to see had I not gone on the college tour. Really enjoyed that. So, if they cannot participate or cannot partake in the Alpha Derby weekend, what are other ways that they can support you all and really help you work on your mission of giving back to the community?
Hey, another great question. In a day of, networking and technology, hit like and share. And I know that sounds very basic, but like and share this interview. You know, Add and support the work that you're doing. That's a good starting point. And even when you go on our website of alphaderbyweekend.com, and when you click on the menu for tickets, don't panic, because the very first thing says 20,000. No, it doesn't cost you 20,000 to attend. That's our time. So when you go to alphaderbyweekend.com and click on the menu for tickets, it's going to start off with the sponsor level. So you want to scroll all the way down, and then you have your ticket options. Then at the very bottom, if you just want to do a general donation, you're able to do that. So I'd say, again, the easiest ways, when you see our stuff on social media or you see this interview, like and share it, because that allows more people to see who we are, see what we're doing, and see what we're all about. And if you're able to come, like I said earlier, whether you can only do a day, you want to do the whole weekend, you want to do it a la carte, you want to do all inclusive, look at the ticket options and see what best works for you. And if you're like, no, I can't travel, we know first weekend in May is getting real close. Mother's Day weekend is the following weekend. High school graduations, college graduations, based on where you live. If you're like, nah, I'll just go ahead and send a donation. When you go, again, on alphaderbyweekend.com and click on the menu for tickets, the first thing that you'll see will be all the sponsor levels. Then you'll see all the ticket options. Then you'll see if you want to do a donation. And every bit matters, from 5 to 5,000, everything in between. Every bit matters and every bit helps. And the same for people that come, whether you come for a day, you come for the weekend, your presence is a present to us, and it helps us do what we're trying to do.
Getting back to this, we've talked a lot about the history, getting tickets, how to be involved, how to support, and what you all do for the community. Is there anything else that you want to put out that I did not touch on about the Alpha Derby weekend? Would love to hear it.
Yeah, I would say, first off, you did a great job of asking and keeping me on my P's and Q's. But again, no, but when you're in the presence of a good media presence and personality, hey, that's what you do. You gotta be ready. You gotta stay ready. But I would say the main takeaway is that people don't remember anything else. Good things can happen when good people come together for a good and genuine cause. Um, Another thing I like to say, every big idea started small. And like you heard, we started small, to where we only envisioned this as a 2-day event. And like I shared with you, the very first year, our kickoff party and concert, as you see it now, all started with we're just going to meet up at the rooftop bar of our hotel, and we got like 3 to 4 times as many people show up as what we intended. um just be genuine. And quote, you may not get it perfect, but if people see you're making an honest effort to try to get it right, you'll be surprised the support you get. So that's not just for our event, but for anything. And I shared this with you, don't underestimate the size of your platform. Don't underestimate the size of your platform or the importance of your platform, because it's maybe like 20 of us that put this event together. So you think about 20 people putting an event together for almost like 3,500, 4,000 people. So you don't necessarily have to be the biggest or the baddest. Just be good at what you're doing and look at how can you get better. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because that's how this interview started. Like, hey, I need your help. I mean, like, let's just be honest. That's how it started. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because you'll be surprised, you know, who's watching, who's paying attention, who could be motivated or encouraged or inspired. So even when people see what we're doing, maybe that's a motivation for them. Hey, I can do something in my community. I can do something in my neighborhood. You know what? I can use the platforms I have access to a little bit differently or a little bit better. So those universal takeaways, I hope people are getting. Of course, we want you all to be down here. Let's not be fooled. We want you to be down here, but if you can't be with, but if you can't be with physically, the ways you can be with us in spirit is, like I said, watch, like, share, repost, email us a message saying, "Hey, we see what y'all are doing. Keep building on the good work you're doing." Like, you know, those little things really do make a difference. And again, just having the chance to be on this platform for someone who's seriously dedicated to their craft, you're breaking ground. You don't know what women, I'll be more specific, what Black women you are inspiring. You keep going. You pause every once in a while to catch your breath, and you keep going, because you're doing tremendous things. And like I said, you still scratching the surface. That's a good, scary feeling. You're already doing great, but you're still scratching the surface. So, like I said, May 2nd through 5th, 2024, join us in the winner's circle for the Alpha Derby weekend. Again, website, alphaderbyweekend.com. Social media, Alphas of Atlanta on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Alpha underscore Derby on Instagram and Twitter. And if people want to email, they can email us at info@alphaderbyparty.com. Again, info@alphaderbyparty.com. If you've got general questions for people who might be interested in a branding or sponsor piece, you may email sponsor@alphaderbyparty.com. Again, sponsor@alphaderbyparty.com. And on the media end, just be like, hey, what's happening and whatever. Media@alphaderbyparty.com. Again, media@alphaderbyparty.com.
Fantastic. I'll also include all of the links and emails in the description and in the captions. So everybody, if you see this or whenever you see this and you still have questions, even if, like I said, if it's after the first weekend in May, you can always go back and send information. Like you said, send an email saying they're doing great. Or even, like I said, get ready to queue up for the next year, because each year is going to get greater and greater and better and better. And I appreciate that advice. That advice tells me, and that's what I call winning at the game of life, which is what this one podcast is about. But overall, the platform is celebrating and highlighting not only just women in sports, but sports and events in general. So thank you so, so much for taking your time out to speak with me. I can't wait till the weekend. I'm super excited. I'm going to have to buy me a brunch plate. And I just can't wait to just be able to collaborate with you guys. So thank you so much again. And that is all.